Howdy, folks. Good evening, or for I think a lot of the world, good morning. How are you doing? It's going to be a little bit strange sitting here talking to an empty room. In case you have the Nikon live stream still going on in your headphones or in your speaker, I can switch to this view, so then you've got that running there as well, but I won't run the audio through because I think there's too much of a chance that I will cock it up and accidentally have the audio mess up on us. So to be honest, I thought the live stream would be an hour, so putting my live stream an hour and a half after it started seemed like a safe bet that it would be done. You would have seen all of that and maybe would have had time to check out that I've already put my hands-on video live as well. But guessing that a lot of you are probably just coming straight from the live stream, you probably haven't seen mine or the other videos that have come out now that the NDA is over. So that's just how it is. And first of all, hi to Ryan and Vaha and everyone in the chat. Sorry if I'm missing anyone. It's been really cool seeing how excited everyone's been for this camera to be coming. I've had a good amount of shooting with it at this point. So basically, I'm guessing if everyone's basically just had the update from the live stream and that's the new level of information people have gotten, having not seen all the videos that have dropped like mine, that you may have some burning questions. And I'm not a Nikon product expert, but having had some hands-on time, I'd be happy to answer them for you guys. So if you have a question, maybe just tag me so that I see it and pop it into the chat. I don't know what to say. So I had a good day shooting with some dancers with the Z9 and didn't have access to the 100 to 400, but did use the new FTC Mark II. And I also had a half day briefing and hands-on with it, and then another half day afterwards getting some pickup shots, testing some of the features and stuff. So it's fantastic. I mean, I don't know what to say. The video that I did, I was basically looking at it as its own piece of tech, and the way I approached it, of course, later I'll be comparing it to more things, but basically what it means for Nikon, where it goes into their lineup, and looking at it from a point of view of people who, something like me, that they're Nikon shooters and they want to know, how does this fit in? What does it mean for their options? Is this what they've been waiting for? That kind of thing. So this is not it. I'm sorry, this is my dead Nikon D5 that unfortunately died several years ago when it took a plunge into the ocean. But I did get a chance to put it side by side against the D6, which, you know, if you have shot with one, you know just how much more responsive and precise and crisp and fast it is compared to any other, you know, Nikon, even a D500 or a D850. And I gotta say, side by side, having them both there literally in either hand, the Z9 feels better built, and the speed is just ridiculous. There's nothing else in the Nikon world that comes close or holds a candle to it. So I think it's going to make a lot of people happy, and until it went live on B&H Photo, I had honestly no idea what the price was going to be. I was still expecting anywhere up to 7,000 US. Wouldn't surprise me. That everyone was saying it would be under the D6 though. So I thought if it comes in at 62 or 6,000, that would be great. At 5.5, I'm really, really impressed. So let's see. Let me know what questions you have. I'm happy to answer whatever I can as well as I can. Yeah, $5,500 is the price. Well, I wasn't planning to come on and just rehash the video I already made. I really wanted this to be a Q&A. I probably should have got a second guest on to help go through things and unpack it a little bit. But if you guys have a question, please send it in and let me know. Let's see. How long have we been live? Just 5 minutes, so we might still be getting some people coming through. Okay, Edward C. How do the Z9 and the Z7 II compare concerning build quality? Well, I have the Z7 II here, and I have a D5, and I mean, I don't want to speak to people like they're idiots, but if you haven't used an integrated grip flagship body, you may not kind of know just how far ahead they often are compared to the next level down. I love the D850, but still, when you go to a D5 or a D6, it's that much crisper, more responsive. Everything is just up a level. And the Z9 is, I think, better again. So, I mean, the Z7 II, there's nothing about it when I use it that feels flimsy, except for the card door. Yeah, I would say if you've only used Nikon digital cameras, the Z9 has as good or the best build quality of any of them. Sorry, I can't pronounce it. Vahography? Sure, I'd love to come on, let me know. Dr. Robert Goldman, Japanese or Thai manufactured? Nikon don't have manufacturing in Japan anymore, so it's all made in Thailand. Maybe some of the really cheap equipment is made... No, I think it's all in Thailand now. Ronald, does the Z9 have a similar feel to the D3 to the D5? In terms of like the certainty of what you're using, yes, it's absolutely up there. I think the grip is actually maybe even a little nicer, although that's completely subjective. It depends on your hand and what you like. But it's smaller than this, like it's a little bit shorter. It's not too different in weight though, but I found it fit the hand fantastically well. I don't want to come across as an advert, by the way, for Nikon. Making this review was, or not a review, but my first hands-on. It was a lot of work and there were lots of frustrations, to be honest, but the camera is just good. And looks like the live stream must be wrapping up. And whilst I am a Nikon user, and I'm sure some people who aren't might call me just a fanboy for being too positive about it, keep in mind when what I had to say about the Nikon D6. I think that was a flop, and I was honest about that. So I'm being honest about the Z9 as well. I've already got my order in, and yeah, now that I know that the price is even cheaper, I'm thrilled. Looks like we're getting a nice little epic montage, epic pullback on the Z9 there. So this questions. Raymond Menard, is there any kind of sensor stabilization? Yes, there is. It's got in-body image stabilization paired with the FTZ and the lens stabilization, or just native lens stabilization. They're saying up to 6 stops. Michael Waith, did you test the new FTZ? Yes, I did, with the 200 f2, and that might be the most surprising thing of all of my testing. If you guys have been watching for a while, the 200 f2 is my favorite lens, and it performs amazingly well. It focuses so fast even on lower end bodies, and I think it performed better on the Z9 adapted to it than it does on any native f-mount camera. I can't explain it. I shot it back to back, side by side, with the Nikon D6 straight onto the lens, and then the Z9 with the FTZ Mark II adapter, and it was way faster and more accurate because you have the points all the way to the corner. As I had a model walking towards me, I have to keep her face in that central area, whereas when I go to the Z9, you have points over 90% of the frame, and I'm blown away. It was better than native performance. Colin Cameron, do you think the Z9 will be a good working hybrid camera? Absolutely. I'm already thinking about ditching this guy, which I use for my slow-mo video, the A7S III for the 4K 120. I'm thinking to ditch it and just be able to use the Z9. It's got the 4K 120, it's got 8K that does do insane amounts of recording time, and 8K 60 is coming. So, yeah. Um, Stephen Kornreich, do you feel the continuous autofocus is up to par with the Sony A1 and the Canon R3? To be fair, I have to test them all three side by side with final firmware. That's not just a. I just want to point this out here before I finish answering your question, Stephen. You know, when you hear reviewers saying it's a prototype, it's on non-final firmware, that kind of thing, it often just sounds like maybe they've been forced to say that and the camera companies are just covering their butt because they don't want you to know the truth or something, but really it's actually final. That's just not the case. You'd be amazed, and I don't want to share anything out of school, but you'd be amazed the amount of things that are being finalized in the days leading up to a camera going live. I don't think I can compare, you know, non-final firmware to a camera that's been on the market for a year already. I would say, however, excuse my language, it's fucking insane. I shot bursts of like 500 images as a dancer was spinning around a pole with fabric over her face and her legs over her face and the pole going between the camera and the eye, and they're just all in focus at f1.2. I don't know what to say. I'll test them side by side. I'll be honest, if the Sony or Canon or whatever is better than it, I'll share that. But if it was the difference between absolutely freaking mind-blowing with Nikon ergonomics or absolutely freaking mind-blowing +5 with Sony ergonomics, I'm sticking with the Nikon. I don't care. Hi, Matt Irwin. Thanks for joining us, and thank you for hosting your live stream earlier and being so gracious to let me join in the chat there. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, it must be late over in Australia, so I hope you've had your Red Bull. What questions have I missed so far? Okay, I'm just going to keep it, no offense to people, I'm going to keep it to Z9 questions if people are kind of asking about other gear that I may or may not have tested. I'm going to keep it on topic for this one, so then if people are stopping in to find out about the Z9, it's all on point for them. Okay, the chat moved kind of fast, so I think I've lost a few people's comments. Romeo was asking what's the price. It's coming in at $5,500 US, cheaper than I was expecting, and I'm really surprised. So the battery. Matt Irwin just asked. The battery's insanely long. Fuck me. It's in the full video I have, so guys, please check that out. It was a huge amount of work because on the day at the dance studio where I was shooting for like 8 hours, and before you roast me for being a spray and pay photographer, I was trying to stress test the camera and take as many shots as I could and test out these 120 frames and 30 frames and 20 frames. So in 8 hours, I took 23,500 photographs. And I took, I can't remember, something like 6 or 8 minutes of 4K slow-mo and 6 or 8 minutes of 8K video, and still had, I think it was 30 or 32% battery left on a single charge. So insane. And I also did about an hour 5 of 8K video recording on the next day, unbroken, and it had around half battery left as well. So yeah, that's crazy. Marv's Revis, are there any flickering or banding issues? I wanted to test it more, but I couldn't replicate it. You know, I was shooting in mixed lighting conditions and I just didn't see it, but I didn't have the presence of mind to test my Z7 in full electronic shutter to see if it was getting banding. When I came back and shot in different lighting situations, I found, yeah, I get banding in lots of places. But then when I had the follow-up day to do some filming, I took along a bunch of different LED lights, and I was in an office building that had shitty lights, but they must have just had the right frequencies because none of the cameras were banding. But the reason that I am partly doing this stream, I am getting the Z9 back in to do more testing really soon. And I'm planning, although it's really hard to travel at the moment, I'm planning to do a domestic field tested where I'll, instead of going to this tribe or that waterfall like I would if I was in Iceland or Namibia, I'll instead go and shoot surfers at Deepwater Bay and basketballers in Wan Chai and just go all around Hong Kong and shoot a bunch of stuff. And that's where, if there are quirks with banding or other things that we haven't seen before on a camera like this, or the ceiling and the build quality and all of that, that's when those things are really gonna come out. So if there's things that you want me to test out, let me know. Someone there, sorry I lost the name, asked what cards you should buy. Again, I covered that in the video, and there was a huge difference in the performance. With one of the cards, I got 1,860 raw files written to the card before it started buffering, and with another one that was even more expensive, I only got 550. And yeah, I'm planning to do a side-by-side video to test out all the different cards and card readers. I already have them on the way to show what gets the best real-world performance, because what's written on the box is bullshit. It's the theoretical maximum read and write speed, and it's the minimum sustained file speed that you need to actually clear the buffer. Matt Irwin, I guess you just joined us, asking how does F-Glass go? I tested it with the 200 f2 and it performed better than on the D6. Edward C, how's the weather sealing compared to other Nikon cameras? I mean, I've never had an integrated grip body camera from Nikon that I would have any concern going out in pouring rain or snow or -20 temperatures. I just haven't done that with that now. So they say it's got the same weather sealing as the D6. I haven't tested it. I have no reason to doubt them, but I'm not a Nikon ambassador or spokesperson, so I'm not just going to repeat what they've told me as if it's a fact. I'll just tell you that's what they say. John Drummond, is Z7 true no blackout in fast burst? Okay, so I don't know what video you're referring to there, but check out the one that I've shared. It is completely blackout free, and that's how you end up taking 23,000 photos in a day, because with no shutter, you also have no rumble as you're taking the shot. So as you hold your finger down, you might take 1,000 photos and not realize. It has 3 different visualizations for how to know that you're taking photos. One does give a little black flicker, which to me is hilarious and ironic because it's making it seem like it has a blackout again. The other puts 2 solid bars on either side of the screen, and another one puts 4 thin bars on all 4 sides, so you just get a little flicker on the edge as you're taking shots. But yeah, it's true, no blackout. It looks like you're just watching a movie, taking photos, and lose track completely of how many you're taking. Important dolphin, is it as good or better than the human eye? I don't know if you're making a joke question or what you're getting at there. Johnny Mendoza, yes, it has illuminated buttons, and I should also say other top line things that I'm really pumped about. So no shutter, 8K 30 on release, full frame, 8K 60 coming, 4K 120, and a big one for Nikon shooters, 3D tracking is back. So if you know, you know. You know who, have you tested the camera with adapted third-party glass? No, I have not. Does the e-shutter work with off-camera flash? Yes, I test that in my video. Colin Cameron, when you do the next video, can you test the touch? Can you touch on the availability of Z series lens rentals? I can, but if you already have already checked what Nikon Z series lens rentals are like, then you already know the answer of that. They're certainly out there. Go check out Lens Pro to Go or Lens Rentals. They're friends of the channel, and I've rented lenses from them before they have them. Tim Suda, I guess the question is the Nikon guy back? Well, firstly, it was that Nikon guy. You got a good memory, though. I'm not going to change my name, no. It's a funny thing, and I'll just touch on it quickly because, you know, shirt-wearing, card-carrying MPS member. I, since 2006, have shot Nikon. Last year I sold off my DSLRs and was in the wilderness for a few months as I tested the different systems. Bought into Nikon mirrorless, my money, Z7s. But I just changed the name for the simple reason that was actually a business advisor said to me, so best case scenario, you keep promoting Nikon or being a Nikon user, and Nikon eventually makes you an ambassador. Is that something you would want? And I realized no, because then I can't talk about other things and I'd be so limited in what I can talk about. And so there's no real upside, and potentially I would be alienating more than half of the photographers who think only Nikon people are welcome. And if you just think about, like, if you're trying to work and you call yourself that Ford guy, then, you know, GM probably don't want to work with someone called that Ford guy. So just calling myself my own name seemed like a smart move. So no, I won't be changing the name back, but in my heart, I've always been that Nikon guy. So Ronald, what AF modes did you find your favorites? I was just thrilled that 3D tracking is back, and it was so fast. It's really nice. It's got an option, so when you hit the I button, like on, oh, this camera doesn't have a battery, here's a spare. You hit the I button on your Z6 or Z7 and you get the AF mode here. So a lot of the menus now have like a drop down. So when you tap on that one, the next level is available there. So you'll see it in my video. You've got animal or people auto select, or cats or birds or bikes or whatever it is. The different modes are all there. So you can just leave it in auto and it will detect, does it think that what is the subject in the frame? But otherwise, you can tell it, no, I'm going to be shooting animals at the moment, so it's only kind of looking for that particular kind of subject. Questions. Homi Hormasi, could you please comment about the sensor quality and the dynamic range? No, sorry, I can't. Being that it's so new, I don't have access to RAW decoders, so I've recorded RAWs as I was shooting, but I can only review the JPEG so far, and what can I say? You can't judge dynamic range or even ISO off a JPEG. Yeah, so I can't go into that yet. Okay, any other questions? Ronald Pollard, better than D6 in every way other than number of moving parts. Yes, it's better than the D6. For me, the D6 was always a placeholder because, they were just, it should have been a D5S Lite. It wasn't really a next evolution and not really a fitting swan song to their DSLR range either, in my opinion. Naz Conspiracy, is the 120 frame per second mechanical shutter? No, this camera has no shutter. it's electronic only. Everything is electronic only. The only shutter that it has is a protective one that just goes over the sensor when you take the lens off to stop dust getting on there. But it's all electronic. But one cool thing to note, the 120 frame per second mode is still with full autofocus and full metering. So pretty fantastic. Did the Z9 have adjustable video megabytes per second? I didn't go into that menu actually. They normally always do, but it had H.265, H.264, N-Log, HLG, and ProRes. So there's a lot of different bit rates right there. But I don't know if you could just say I want 60, 100, 200 like on other ones. I guess it did. I do have a video-centered video coming soon, so watch this space. If you have any other questions, please let me know, folks. High-speed sync, yes, it's just the same as a D850 or a D6. It'll do normal sync up to 1/250th. Then you've got autofocal plane from there on up to the maximum. And this camera has a maximum shutter speed of 1/32,000th of a second, and you can program in up to half an hour exposures. Oh, what is it? I think it's 900 seconds. I can't remember, maybe 15 or 30 minutes. Okay, questions. So the original FTC won't fit on here. I think it does, but it would be a tight fit. But I'm glad that they changed it anyway, because if you have like a tripod plate on here that overhangs the bottom of your camera and then go to put the FTZ on, you can't, and you have to then take it off. So they say that the actual performance you get out of it is the same on the new one as the old one, but I think I'll pick one up as a secondary one anyway. And my biggest thing that I'm personally interested in to test more once I get it back in is to test it on more F-mount lenses and some third-party ones to see how it performs. Because sincerely, if you then get access to your old 70-200 or 50mm or whatever you love from F-mount, then the Z-mount system has just come alive, going from whatever 20 or 30 lenses to hundreds of lenses. And as I said, the 200 f2 performed better on the Z9 than it did on the D850 or the D6. So I really hope that that's thanks to the bigger battery and the X-Speed 7, and that we'll see that on other lenses as well. T. Kermy, I read the flash sync is 1/200th, but you say it's 1/250th. It's a little late here. If I've gotten that wrong, I apologize, but I thought it was 1/250th. Does the Z9 have the same 10-pin remote connector as the D850? You mean this guy? It had the ports. I actually didn't check to see if it's the same 10-pin connector. I didn't put it side by side and open its cover. Thank you all for popping over. I hope you've had a chance to check out the live stream, which unbelievably, I think it's just looped now because it's, I saw these guys dancing earlier. Or maybe it's on playback now. Anyway, if you haven't, please do check out my YouTube video because it goes through all the things you're asking so far and lots more. And it was a huge amount of work to go through all the 23,000 photos that I took and cull it down into something useful. Alexander's asking, when is the exact time of the Z9 announcement? It was 2 hours ago. It's announced. It's out there. Let's see. Is the rubber the same or different? I recall it felt pretty much similar to the Z7 Mark II. How much lighter is the Z9 compared to the D5 and D6? I think with battery and cards, negligible, maybe like 100 grams. It's smaller, but it's not that much lighter. I don't know if they covered that in the live, but FYI, the new one's using an X-Speed 7 processor, which is apparently has 10 times the processing power of the X-Speed 6. But keeping in mind that these guys, the Z6 and 7 Mark IIs, had dual processors, I guess that means it has 5 times the processing power that they did. Is the Viewfinder better than the Z6? I didn't have them there side by side to compare it. It's certainly brighter than any of the other Nikon ones. Got some more questions. Yeah, Kermie. So many photos, it's ridiculous. Ninja Mastor. If I do mainly landscape, would the Z7 II be better for me because it doesn't have the low pass filter? That's a really good question. Until I have a look at the raw files, I really can't tell you. So an optical low pass filter can be for the purpose that we know it of, which is to basically blur things a little bit and get rid of more, I can't even say that word, the fuzz. And it can range from being really quite blurry, like on a D5 or something like that, through to almost perfect, just clear glass. And given that they have this specially coated to repel dust and stuff, I'm hoping it's a really, really mild one so that it's there basically to protect the sensor from getting damaged because it's open, rather than actually doing a whole lot of diffusion. But until I get access to the raw file and be able to compare it to the Z7 II, I couldn't comment on that for you. The camera like the Z9 does seem like a bit of overkill if you're shooting static subjects, though, to be honest. Edward C, how's the ISO performance? So I was really hoping for a bump in that, but it's the same resolution as the Z7 II. And Nikon, you know how they are. If there was a gain, they would be, spruiking it about how much better it is. And they say it's essentially the same as the Z7 Mark II. I can only compare the JPEG I took from each camera on the day, which for me is not reasonable because you don't know what processing has been done in the camera. Based off the JPEGs, it seems pretty much the same. But again, once I get access to the raw files, I can answer that for you. Shuvik internal ProRes, yes, recorded internally. The CF Express Type B cards are incredibly fast. The Viewfinder refresh rate, I don't remember off the top of my head. Check the link. I think they have all the specs up there now at B&H Photo. Questions? How you doing, Ike? Thanks for stopping in, and thanks for being so gracious to have me crash yours and Troy's stream earlier today. Thanks for joining us. MJ Cecita, any impression to the Z9? Well, I have made a whole video on it, and that's what I'm here to talk about. So yeah, let me know any questions that you have. JD Daily, when will you get access to the raw files? That was a little disappointing, actually. I really thought Nikon must have their own decoder that they could give access to, so I could at least, transfer it into DNGs to access. Maybe now that it's announced, they will do that because they were incredibly secretive in leading up to it. But generally, when you get full RAW access, depends on, Adobe updating their RAW decoder. So fingers crossed, when I get the camera in early next month, I'll have access to the raw files, but I don't really know. MP, what is missing that I wished was there? Good question. I do wish, how unreasonable am I allowed to be? Of course, I would love a few more megapixels, a bit better ISO. and I would have loved to see 16-bit RAW come in, but you know, rumor sites, people love to get kind of carried away with thinking it's going to have absolutely everything of everything. Honestly, I really think that what it's doing, well, for me, 20 frames a second is absolutely sufficient. 10 with that quality of autofocus would be fine, but I'll take the 20, sure. I'd probably like it to be at 30 just so then it could quell, hopefully, some of the shit talking back and forward between brands. But I said this in my video, watch this space, because I actually think that 30 frames could come. If it's doing 120 in JPEGs, it's capable of 8K 60p via a firmware update soon. I think the whole pathway inside the camera and the cards it's using could definitely support 30 frames a second in RAW. So wait and see. I'm guessing that. I have nothing to back that up, but that's my inkling. Did the photo box change colors once focus was acquired? Yeah, I checked my video. From memory, I think it goes green once you have the subject lock on, and I'm sure all of that is customizable. John Drummond, what do you think Z9's list price of $5,500 will make Sony and Canon do? I think they kind of know. I have to say, part of the reason, and so hand in the air, I was wrong, thankfully. I really thought that the Z9 could end up being $7,500. If I hadn't gotten sucked into the rumor sites, I would still be thinking that. Because if you look at where Canon's latest release is positioned and priced, if they're coming in with something above that, it's obviously going to come in a grand or two above that as well. And then it seems like that would be what the Z9 is competing with. So I thought Nikon would stick to around 6.5 plus. So I'm actually stunned that it came in at 5,500. And I get the perspective of, well, this is great for the industry, competition helps everyone, now they'll be trying harder, they'll be trying blah, 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 blah. But I really have no interest in a pissing contest or a measuring contest with other users. For Nikon users who have been looking for a true flagship, who have been missing great autofocus at this kind of a level and this kind of a speed, people who are in a similar kind of boat to me, you guys are going to be thrilled, and that's what I care about. I don't really give a crap as a shooter, or, well, I do as a reviewer because, you know, I want to cater to everyone. But as a shooter, I don't care what other people think of what I'm shooting, or if they like they should like theirs better than they like mine, because it's theirs and they're making photos with it. So I really don't care about the versus aspect of it right now. Once it's a final camera with final firmware, then absolutely I'll get it in and do comparisons because people are interested in that. But I really don't think there's that many people who are sitting back thinking, you know what, I got $20,000 that I want to just dump on a brand, on a flagship and half a dozen lenses. I want to know which one gets 27 out of 28 photos in focus in a second versus 19 out of 20 in focus in a second, and that's where I'm going to throw all my money. People don't really think that way. Versus are good and they get clicks, but I don't know that they're actually that helpful, especially at the flagship level, because people have generally built their way up through the system, have an investment bias already, and are prone to stay with where they are anyway. Hi Peter, Vigenda, SJ Square. MP, I've said this a couple of times, but welcome to the chat. The autofocus was really good with the FTZ2. Nikon says that the FTZ and the Mark II have the same performance. So, yeah. And I found that, check out my full video, you can see the results. Shooting in a backlit situation, it was just instant and perfect focus using my 200 f2, which is now, you know, like, I don't know, a 6 or 8 or more year old lens. It was phenomenal. Good point, Photo Me Ike. When the A9 came out, it really was incredibly well priced. And yep, so can I just say one thing to Nikon users right now? There's just a constant circle of shit talking, and I know you may want to now be able to shit talk back to Sony users or Canon users who've been on your back about not having good autofocus. Let's just kill it here. We've got an awesome camera. If it's in your budget to get it, just get it and love it and use it. There's no point to get into this who makes the sensor. Yes, but then that was 2 years ago, and it's pointless. Be happy that we've got a great camera. You don't need to compare it against theirs in that kind of a way. Just think about what it's going to let you do creatively, the enjoyment it's going to bring you, all of those extra frames and composition options as you fire off a burst. It's all good. So if you look at it, comparing it to the A9, there's a lot of similarities that I can draw out. And then the obvious counterpoint to that is, yeah, but that's 2 or 3 years ago now. All true. It just is what it is. Yeah. Robbie Keane, welcome. The announced price is US $5,500 US. There's a link somewhere that you can check it out. Yeah, I'm actually stunned when you think, what was the Z7 II when it first came out? Close to 4? It was at least 3.5. Crazy. Z9 is same ISO range as well, as far as I know, Vigenda. It's not as far as I know, as far as I remember. So 64 up to like 25,000, and then a couple of highs and a low from there. Mike Farrell, it's a D3 moment for sure. The used market for great D series bodies is going to be crazy. Maybe. I feel like every launch has its catchphrase that has a little bit of merit and a whole lot of just cachet. And I feel like for this one, it's a D3 moment is on everyone's fingertips. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's a great camera. I can tell you that much, having had a good chance to shoot with it, and I've been pestering them to find out when I can get it back in so I can line up a bunch of different shooting tests rather than being in a dance studio and on a rooftop. I'm going to be shooting on a beach and on a volleyball court and all kinds of different things. I just want to get back out on the road with one of these on each of my hips and be back in the field. Michelle, I can't say your name, dude. Sorry, I'm really tired. Mr. Hyatt, thanks for keeping it real. Yeah, thanks for sticking around and your support. Johnny Boy, did you ever go on the 100 to 400? No, Nikon Hong Kong don't have a copy of it yet, apparently. Same with the 400 to 8. That was just a development announcement, but I guess that'll be coming first half of next year. 100 to 400, I haven't seen it, haven't touched it. Any other questions, folks? Maybe we'll give it another 15 minutes or so, and then we can wrap it up there. If you've not seen it, here is oops, what am I doing? This is actually my video, which I was not meaning to play. I was just meaning to refresh it. So that's the thumbnail anyway, for the one that I've just put out. So I might as well just let it stream along, that you'll see some of the behind the scenes and the eye autofocus and all of that good stuff. Yeah, pretty impressive. Let me know what questions you have. And where's some of the AF to show you guys? Oh, so here we go. Here's some cool ones showing some walking to camera and spinny spin poly action and that kind of good stuff. Okay, Darren Brown. Sorry, Darren Brown, you're saying I won't ask any more. I'm not sure. Did I miss one of your questions? You're free to ask any questions. Um, I know you likely can't, but if you can you please say hi to my boys, Denver and Levy? Yeah, of course. Hi, Denver. Hi, Levy. Hi, Dad, Darren. Photo Ike. 8K. Did you shoot any 8K? Yes, I did. On the day of shooting in the studio here, I did 23,500 photos, about 6 or 8 minutes of 8K and the same of 4K slow mo, and still had 32% battery remaining. Pretty cool, huh? And I have another video coming dedicated to video, and I did let it run for about an hour, hour and 10, 8K internal, and it ran fine, and it was basically coming out to about a gig per minute. If you have any other specific questions about the video, feel free to let me know, Ike. So here's the Z9, I think I got 7 times more photos than the Z7, and they were all in focus. Then check out this this next one with this dancer up here. This woman is amazing. She's a dance teacher in Hong Kong, and she's so strong. The moves, I'll be honest, I was so focused on the camera, it wasn't until I watched the video back, I'm like, holy shit, she's just like inverting like it's nothing. But yeah, shooting with the 50mm 1.2, as she's got hair and her skirt and everything, and her legs over her face, and just every photo in focus. Crazy. Daniel, is the HDMI full size? Yes. I show the ports, I think, in the video as well. The articulating screen is like Fuji. It lets you articulate sideways and up and down. Johnny Boy, he's hoping the AF filter's down to cameras for mere mortals soon. I'm sure some of it will go to existing bodies, but I know that a lot of what's required to do this is processing power, and only the Z9 has the X-Speed 7. So I would say future generations are probably going to get a lot closer to this, in the same way that, you know, the D850 and the D5 were close, but the D5 still performed better. How is the lid for the memory cards done? It's a slide down door. Kind of like this one on the Sony A7S, a little slide down and then pop open. Common editing apps updated for the Z9 file compatibility, John Drummond? No, I mean, it's just been announced. You can't buy one, so no, none of them. Anyway, that's enough on my video. You can go watch that after this one. I'll give it another 10 minutes. If you've got more questions, let me know. Robbie, thanks for the question, but I'm going to keep it to the Z9 for today, not about my private life. Matt Code, did they give a price estimate? Yep, it's available for pre-order right now. It's $5,500 US. I got some links in the description there. I'm sure international pricing is out everywhere as well. Zetamex, always nice to see you. We did a photo walk in Sydney when the D4 was new. Now somehow have to find the yen to own the new one. Nice to see you. Good memory, and thanks for coming to the photo walk all those years ago. Well, seems like we're slowing down a little bit. MP is asking, is the autofocus working at 120 frames per second? Yes, autofocus and metering, everything works. It's just a JPEG that you're taking. But I think important to note, it's not a DX crop like the rumors were saying. It's full sensor, which I think is much better. Lumiki, no 16-bit RAW. Yeah, Any last questions, guys? Otherwise, please do head on over. There's a link there where you can check out my full video. I hope you like it. It was actually a huge amount of work, even more than a normal one. It's about half an hour long, but I will be doing follow-ups to it, so leave me a permanent comment on that video of what you'd like to see tested when I get it back, hopefully next week, and I will let you know. Martin Tang, can you change to DX mode for extra crop? Maybe, but it's not going to make it faster and you're just going to bin more pixels, so I probably wouldn't bother. Marv Revis, when are they going to start shipping? I'm asking the same thing. I don't know. Yeah, no idea. It'd be interesting. He's probably not, but if Matt Irwin's still in the chat, what's the price in Australia? Robbie's saying it's 7,000 Canadian, so I'm guessing probably about the same in our Aussie dollars. It's I think the dollar's at about 75 cents at the moment. Is 10-bit video recording only with N-Log, or can you do 10-bit with other picture profiles? I check out my video. From memory, HLG and ProRes are both 10-bit as well. Well, in case we're wrapping up, thank you to everyone who has joined the chat. I'll just switch back to my video. This is when I was shooting on the rooftop with the 200 f2. It was really exciting as a Nikon user, but just as a photographer anyway, to be shooting with this guy and getting this kind of performance. It was really, really, really fun. So here I was showing, well, let's just stick around for this bit. So I'm going to compare the 200 f2 on the Z9 via the FTZ2 adapter with that blurry shot. That's the FTZ2. And then I compare it to the D6 directly onto the lens as dancer Mel struts towards the camera in heavily backlit situations, so her face was in full shadow, and yeah, you'll see the results. See you later, Ronald. Thanks for checking out the video. Let me know as a comment what you'd like to see tested in the future one. Robbie, yes, I'm extremely excited about it. I'm buying one. Is there anything they didn't include that you were hoping for? I mentioned if I was just being unreasonable. Well, first, actually, now that I've given it some more thought, at 5,500, no, I think what they're offering is amazing and I wouldn't ask for more. I think it's unreasonable. If it were coming in at 7,500 like I had wrongly expected, then yes, I would have loved to have seen more resolution or higher bit rate or oh, I'm blanking now, I'm really tired. So, or better ISO performance. But given this price, I think it's pretty incredible. So this is the D6. It performed really well with the 200 f2, but here there were still shots because it doesn't have eye detect where it would get the forehead or the chin or the nose rather than the eye. And, you know, you can only focus when she's in the middle of the frame on the face because the points are only there. With the Z9, it was just better than native. So it got more than double the frames off compared to the D6. And even with hands and hair in front of the face, I mean, I zoomed in and checked them. Every shot is just on the eye, in focus, at f2, wide open. It's better than I have ever had on an F-mount camera, and that was adapted. I feel like I'm doing Nikon's advertising for them, but it was, seriously, it blew me away. And seeing that the 200 f2 is my favorite lens, I'm super excited to see that. Zeta Mex, I'm not sure about that, but I will have a video on video coming soon. Probably in 24 hours I'll get something up on that topic. Um, Thomas just bought me a coffee to wake myself up. Thank you, but it's 10:30 at night, so I think I will have a tea and go to bed after this rather than a coffee. All right, guys, so we're just coming up on an hour now. If you have any last questions, send it in now. Otherwise, please jump on over and check out the full video. It's half an hour long. It covers a lot of the stuff you guys are asking, and I think you'll really like it. It was a lot of fun to make, and 23,000 images to to choose from in making it. Dave, if you haven't seen the video, just check it. I think I discussed the focus modes that I use already. And if you have specific things that you would like to have me test in future, then please leave it as a comment on the video that I just left in the chat. So then that's where I'm going to go on Monday probably, or whenever I get access to the camera again. I'll go through that to see what people have requested and build out a shot list based on that. So if you have specific things you'd like to see tested on it, please leave a comment there. Good night, Mr. Hyatt and SJ Square Photography. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks to everyone that I've said hi to who may have already left or has gone silent because they're watching something else. Yeah, I think that'll do us. Exciting. I'm really glad that the cat's out of the bag and you all have seen what this guy is doing. Those who've just joined late, no shutter, 8K video, 20 frames per second RAW, up to 120 frames per second in JPEG. I got 1860 RAW shots off in one burst to the cards without it buffering. 8K 60p coming soon, and lots of other stuff. Super bright LCD, EVF, lots of good stuff. Hey, Photo Ike sending in a tip. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's surprising. I think that may be the most generous tip we've ever had on the channel. Good man. Thank you. That's very kind of you. When I get over to Seattle, I will take you for dinner somewhere to thank you for your generosity. Thomas Rayner, how does the AF compare to the Z7 II? Please check out the video. I showed them side by side. It is like putting a Mazda Miata up against a Bugatti Chiron. That's kind of the comparison. The Z9 is in a completely other league compared to the rest of the Nikon Z mirrorless range. And having said that, I'm not shitting on them. I am using and enjoying and getting the shot with my Z7 II, but the Z9 is just a different beast altogether. So thank you again to everyone who joined today. Look forward to seeing the content that you guys bring out really soon. And any questions, any suggestions that you'd like to see me test out on the camera when I get it back in, let me know. And I think that will do it for now. I'm going to go have that cup of tea and I'll see you guys later. Hopefully can connect with Ike and Vaha and you guys sometime soon. Ciao.